Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Besties, a broadcast. Today is a special day because we are rounding off Black History Month. Mind you, we are rounding off US Black History Month, not UK, because in the UK we celebrate Black History Month in October, but in the US they celebrate in February, and we're doing a roundup with our special guest, Jasmine Paul. Now, our co host, who's meant to be here today, is not here with us because she is obviously jet lagged and she is sleeping off all of the carnival celebrations that she had. She celebrated Black History Month in her own little way in Dominica. And she'll be with us next week, though, so not a problem. We wish her a speedy recovery as she gets some rest so she can come back to us for our podcast. Now, this is a very special episode because we have my very own cousin, Jasmine, and she is going to talk to us a bit about, um, the things that she has done this month for Black History Month and just generally. She's such a good guest to have on because she's an all rounder. She is super accomplished, and I'm really, really happy that she is with us. You'll find out all about her pretty soon. I just wanted to expand on why we have two different Black History Months, one celebrated in February in the US and one celebrated in October in the UK. I've done a bit of research. In the US, Black History Month takes place in February. It began as Negro History Week in 1926, and it was created by a historian called Carter G. Woodson. And from what I've read, February um, is the month of the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. Both of them were seen as key figures in the fight against slavery for Black rights. Whereas in October, it was first organized in 1987 by a Ghanaian analyst called Akiaba Ade Sibo. And it just sort of happened to be in October because that's when the university's new semester starts. And it was just traditionally a time when African leaders met to discuss community issues. So it just kind of remained in October in the UK. So that's why. But obviously, this is Besties a broadcast. We have our people in the States. And so we have to celebrate both. So I'm going to get our lovely guest, Jasmine, to tell us a little bit about herself and why she's on here today. Thank you, Jasmine.
Yes, thank you so much, Malika. I'm just so honored to be on Besties, a broadcast. When it comes to, I guess I'll share a little bit about me briefly. So I'm Jasmine. I am a first generation American, third culture kid. Basically, that means I grew up abroad as an American, and then I was also raised by Caribbean parents. I spent a lot of my 20s and 30s serving as a United States military officer in the Air Force. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I decided to launch a financial education company teaching young people about money. And we do this through children's books, workbooks, curriculum, as well as in person learning experiences. So I am really excited to be here and to talk about Black History Month because I feel like I have a long history when it comes to Black History Month in my own little way. In my own little way.
You do indeed, honestly, and we are very proud of you as a family. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about Black History Month. What does it mean to you, and what have you done over the years, really, and even this year to celebrate and commemorate Black History Month?
Yeah, to me, it's an opportunity to honor and celebrate those that have paved the way forward, not only in the US, but just across the world. Because Black History Month is celebrated in Brazil. Well, there's African Conscious Day, there's, the UK, there's Ireland, there's all different places. Australia has, Black History Month as well, and so um, there's so much history around the inventions, the policies that were made, the steps forward that have been made for even me to be able to do the things that I'm able to do. And so for me, it's a way to honor and also learn because I find when I went to school, I went to an all Black elementary school growing up, and the elementary school was really just really committed to teaching about Black history and about like all of the different people, not just Rosa Parks, not just Dr. King, but George Washington Carver, talking about just all the different people that had so many different accomplishments and so many different pathways forward for Black people as a whole, and then for people in general. So it's for me, it's an opportunity to learn about my history and also an opportunity to see the mistakes of the past so that we don't make the same mistakes in the future.
So interesting that you just touched a little bit on your schooling and stuff because as you know, just as we've discussed in previous episodes, Renna and I went to school in Dominica. That's where we did our secondary school, both of us. We went to sixth form there for a bit. So when it's only when I came to live in the UK, I heard about Black History Month. I'm like, what is it? I don't know what this is. What we doing? Because I suppose like I don't because we don't have to have that in we don't have to have that in Dominica because every day is Black History Month. So I'm like, what do you mean? Black History Month, why? So,
Yeah.
you know, over the years, I've been back in the UK now for 19 years in August. And like, as the years go by, I've progressively become a bit more involved just by virtue of like being part of different groups. And it is very meaningful because when you don't live in a predominantly Black country,
Yeah.
if you like,
Mhm. Mhm.
then, you know, you just get a little bit more awareness for it. So that's pretty important. Do you mind telling us about some of the activities that you have gotten involved in?
Yeah. So at my school, at my college, I was the vice president for a culture club called Black Cultural Awareness. It was a club for not just Black students, but a club to really acknowledge the Black experience on our campus. I went to a predominantly white institution, which is called a PWI in the US. And it was an opportunity to almost like an we call an employee resource group, but it was a resource group for college students that happened to be of color. And so I would throw panels, informational sessions about Black history. I was in charge of the Black history. At the time, it was Black History Week, but I informed my college officials that it's Black History Month. And so was able to get more events for Black History Month. I was the Black History Month ambassador while I was in the military. And so that comprised of hosting professional development events. Um, we had a unity walk that was really cool. We shut down part of the base installation and showed that the people that came before us, the General Benjamin O. Davises in the past, their work and their efforts and sacrifice is why we're here. And it was a way to remind people that this wasn't just a blip in history. This is really, really important. And our diversity and our differences make us amazing. They make us great. And so this year on my social media posts as well as my newsletters, I created printables for young people to get to know Black history figures that they might not hear in school or they might not see in books. And that was my way of highlighting and honoring those that came before me.
Oh, that's lovely. That's very wholesome. over the years, I'm just thinking about things that I've done for Black History Month or just been invited to really. Um, the Law Society does quite a few events for Black History Month. They've done that over the years for Black lawyers and stuff. So that's been very, very good to raise some awareness. Obviously, open to everybody,
Yeah.
just to learn some bit of the history and so on.
Mhm.
And I'm quite fortunate that where I'm practicing is with the civil service. And so, I mean, the amount of things that they did last October for Black History Month was just mind blowing. It was phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
so many like speakers and activities and just raising awareness and it just makes you feel proud like, people are definitely doing more as opposed to when I was working in private practice where, you're just part of a little firm and if somebody doesn't say, "Oh, guys,
Mhm.
this is Black History Month. Is anybody doing anything?" But obviously, you know how it is. When you're working for government, it's very different. Like, they're
Right.
very, very aware. There's a heightened awareness. So no, that's been very good. But I want to move on to the fact that you are the embodiment of Black History Month at the moment. You are no, let's not play pretend. I want to ask you all about the Wealth Playground. Can you tell me how it came about and tell us a little bit about the Wealth Playground? Because I see you have some books and your little cousin Mackenzie needs these books in her life, please, right? And yeah,
I
because like
got you. I got you.
we're trying to get some Jasmine energy, please. Come on.
So, I so during my senior year of college, in the US, you have to pay for tuition and room and board, and there are other charges. There's a difference with tuition when you go to a private school versus a public school. Typically, public schools are going to be less expensive than private schools. So I went to a private school, didn't really understand the cost of it, but I ended up getting a scholarship, but my scholarship only covered the tuition, didn't cover room and board. So my senior year of college, I ended up coming up short, didn't have enough money. And so I ended up living in my car and on friends' couches for about 60 days. And part of that was I didn't ask my parents for help, and I should have. Like they both said, like, why didn't you just say something? But I think part of it was I got myself in the situation and I wanted to figure it out. And I remember once I graduated college, I was like, okay, I got to figure out this money thing because clearly I'm having money come in, I'm working all these jobs, but I'm not able to sustain it. I'm not able to grow it. I'm not able to save. I don't understand. So I ended up going to the library, reading all these books about financial education. Some of the things that were shared was living below your means, saving, investing 10 to 20%, not having lifestyle creep. So anytime you promote, every time you increase your salary, don't increase your expenses, and then reducing your liability. So that means debt. That means any type of like credit cards. We have medical debt in the US. So anything that is going to be negative towards your net worth. And so I was like, okay, this is not bad. So a year later, after I graduated college, I bought a house at the age of 23. I had a roommate and paid off my debt. So I had about $40,000 of student loan debt. I paid it off the next year. And then my friends we were all in the same like pay grade in the military. Everyone gets paid the same if they're the same rank and same time and grade. And it's public information because it's a government position. And so we were all making the same. And I said, one of my goals is to save like $20,000 for the year. And my friends were like, "How are you doing this? Like, don't you have bills? Don't you have loans and all these other things?" And I was like, "No, I paid it off." We ended up doing like a goal setting night and I showed them what I did. And then they started getting out of debt and they became debt free. And I ended up being like the go to finance person. So people would call me about money, like, "Hey, I have a question about this investment account," or "I have a question about this debt question. And so I was like the resident go-to. And so one of my friends was like, "You should like create a business." And I was like, "Okay." I didn't think about it, but why not? So I started working with women between the ages of 25 to 45. But then I found when I was working with them, everyone kept saying, "I wish I learned about money as a kid." And I'm like, everybody keeps saying this. Like, who's teaching the kids? Like, why are we not being taught this at a very young age? And so I found that no matter the demographic in the US, 50% of Americans don't have emergency savings. And so if an emergency were to come, 50% of Americans would not be able to pay for that. Um, Only about 27% of households actually talk to kids about money. So that's a large majority of households never ever having a conversation about money. And so I found that that's a problem. And that's probably why, I kind of struggle with money. Not to say that my parents didn't talk to me, they did, but there's so much to learn about financial literacy. And so that's why I started the Wealth Playground was really out of my own pain story of not managing money well, not understanding the value of money, but also not really sure about terms and accounts and what's actually available to me. So I started the Wealth Playground because I really wanted young people to be empowered to have healthy money conversations at an early age.
You're talking, and I'm like, when can I get you back on for because we need to talk about this as a separate No, because when you said lifestyle creep, I was just like, I don't you're like, why are you embarrassing me, please? Why?
But it's
You're
the
stressing me.
truth.
It's so true though, and
It's the truth.
just the thing, the general I don't know if parents, like, have this taboo about talking to their children about money, like, this is really, really important, and so tell us about, like, your products and stuff. Because, I mean, I can see the books and they look amazing and they're colorful and they're illustrated and, like, what? Tell me about that. So who's buying? What shops are they at? Please,
Yeah.
Amazon, what?
Yeah. So I started with a children's book called A Boy, a Budget, and a Dream. And I didn't think that this was going to be a company. I had this idea like one night coming home from work about this little boy and his sister learning about budgeting and just a funny way to bring budgeting to young people in a very simple way, simple and easy. And so I wrote this story down like I don't know, and I don't have kids, like I don't know how I'm going to write a children's book. And then from the children's book, I wrote 4 other different children's books and then started working with organizations like Harvard and Taco Bell, through the Taco Bell Foundation. And I saw that it's so much more than books, right? It's the conversation piece, the relatability. Something that I believe sets the Wealth Playground apart is I really have the cross-cultural competency within my materials. And so what that means is in the US, financial education has been a barrier because of either the way you look or the way you speak. If you don't ask the right questions, it can be really challenging. Over the last 10 to 15 years, that has changed, especially with the introduction of social media. You have influencers, you have, well, finfluencers, you have people who are now breaking down financial literacy in a way that is digestible, understandable, comprehensive for people. And I also make it fun. So people will go into workshops for budgeting, saving, investing, and they always tell me like, "I'm bored. I'm tired. Like it doesn't make sense to me." And so they're conking out. They're like, I don't even wanna be here because it's boring." And so I really incorporated play into the work that I do because why not make it fun? Like, it should be fun. Money should be fun. We work way too hard to make it, so, like, why not make it fun? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a literal Black History Month feel good moment. And it's so true what you're saying about being cross-cultural. One of the things that I find when I'm reading books from especially American authors, especially finance books, right? It's just a lot of it is like, oh, the general concepts are there, but I find a lot of it is not relatable because, you know, I guess you guys' credit system works a bit differently. Then they start talking about 401k, and I'm like, I don't, can't relate. 'Cause we just don't have that, then they lose me then. Do you know what I mean? But at least do you know what? I feel like I could literally read your children's books and see the pictures and be flipping through and be like, "Oh, yeah, I get this."
Yeah, and that's
Because
it.
why we have to make everything so complicated, please? What is a
Absolutely.
401k? Please, can you quickly tell me what is a 401k?
Yeah, so a 401k was actually created, based off of a paragraph within the I believe in the tax code. Um, so it's a retirement account. So an employer will have a set of funds that are specifically for that employee, but the employee has to pay into it. So let's say I go to work for an organization. They have a retirement fund as one of my benefits. I will pay into that retirement fund, and the company is saying, if you pay up to, let's say, 5%, we'll match you 5%.
Oh, so that's like the pension. It's literally what we have as pension.
Yes, but not every company does this. And if you leave the company, then your funds will either stay at that company or whatever their provider is for the retirement fund, and then you will have to roll it over to a new retirement system. But it's not guaranteed. Not every company has to have it. And if people don't pay into it, then, I don't,
Yeah, if
they're
you don't put in, then you're not getting out. No. So now I completely get it. Like, it's very similar. It's, to be fair, they've legislated so that, you have your workplace pension, etc. Um, but then, I mean, get real. This is a much smaller country than America. So, things are a bit more maybe regulated in that sense. Okay, fair enough. I
right.
get it.
Yeah.
But we digress. Let's get back into
Oh,
Black
I
History Month. Oh,
I
go
didn't
on.
share where to buy the materials. I
Yes,
forgot.
please tell us.
Yes. So you can go to we have about 30 different products. So we have children's books, workbooks, play kits. I was really intentional about the different products that I shared. And so we have interactive kits, we have games as well coming in April. And they're all available on the wealthplayground.com. You can go there, you can go to amazon.com. We're also in for the children's books, we're in about 35 different libraries across the US. I'm trying to get international. That is my goal for this year. We're also in about 11 bookstores across the US as well.
All right. Well, we welcome you to the UK market. And when you need a bit of help with that, you know who to call.
I do.
Obviously.
I do.
Obviously. Um, yes, so there's that. Um, and do you know what? Just quickly, I remember reading your book during COVID. That was your first book. What was it called again?
Oh, set your truth free.
Set Your Truth Free. I love that myself. I read it and my friend Vicky read it and we really, really enjoyed that.
Oh, wow. Thank you
Yeah,
for
yeah,
reading.
yeah, we read it during COVID. I mean, it was lovely. I mean, I just have to be like, "Here you go, read this. This is my cousin's book." End of. But anyway, all of this, Black History Month, guys, I tell ya. Um, right, I've got a final question for you. God, I can't believe we're running out of time. Oh, I want you to tell us a little bit about your time in the army and your role whilst you were in the army.
Yeah. So I was in the Air Force, which is a little different than the Army, just a different branch of the military. I was a nuclear missile officer and a finance officer. And so what that basically means is, as a nuclear missile officer, my job was to maintain the weapons and the weapon systems throughout certain parts of the US. I got to do a really cool opportunity, which was launch a test nuclear missile into the Pacific Ocean, which is called the Kwajalein Atoll. And so that was really fun. And then as a finance officer, my job was to budget and manage the budget execution that happens throughout the fiscal year for the government, for the Air Force. I was an advisor in Afghanistan, so I advised the Afghan comptroller, so the Afghan Air Force comptroller, CFO. Um, I went to South Korea, had some really cool opportunities there, did a lot of work with the Republic of Korea ministry, like their Ministry of Defense. And yeah, my roles in the military were, I think, just shaped the person who I am today, as well as definitely equipped me to be a leader of the Wealth Playground for sure.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. So,
What?
no, I don't even know what to say because what? And she goes, "Yeah, that was fun." What? It sounded like a lot of responsibility.
It
I don't know about
was.
fun, but no, it sounds
It
like
was.
it sounds amazing, like, and because your mommy was in the
My
military as well.
my mom and my dad were in the Air Force, yeah.
So do you feel like that shaped your decision as well? Like, "Oh, I wanna do what they're
No,
doing."
absolutely not. I had no, I did not want to be in the military. My mom will say that all day. I had no desire to be in the military. None. I didn't understand what they did. I didn't really care to. It was cool. I grew up in Japan, so I did get to experience Asia at a young age, but I was not interested. I was like a free bird, like creative spirit. I was a writer. I loved the arts. So the military just didn't make sense to me, but I had to pay for school and the military made sense, meaning dollars. It made sense that way. And that is why I joined the military because I had to pay for school. And then once I was in, I really enjoyed my experience. I had some hiccups along the way, but overall, I was able to travel the world. I was able to meet so many great people. I did so many cool projects. Re in the US, when it comes to leadership in companies, I find that people don't lead often, like, they don't lead early. And so, when I was 23, 22 years old, I was immediately a leader. Like, that was, like, my first step into leadership. Even though I was doing a lot of leadership roles in college, it was, like, automatic, so I had so many lessons on leadership at a very young age that, um, I find that my peers who are civilians don't always have. Like, I was leading teams of, like, 20 to 30 people at, like, 25, 26 years old, managing budgets of, like, 100 to 300 million at like 27. My biggest budget that I've ever ran was $3.2 billion, and I was doing that at like 28. And I just feel like they gave you a lot of responsibility at a young age, and you are required to rise to the occasion. And I appreciated that as a young person and just in general, because I don't find that in the civilian world that that level of accountability and responsibility is a requirement at a young age.
Listen, I know even if it's not in my lifetime, I know in Mackenzie's lifetime, she's gonna read about you in a book. Happy Black History Month indeed. I don't care what you wanna say. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. That's what's gonna happen. That's definitely what's gonna happen. Oh, do you know what? I can't believe we're out of time, but it
We
was
are.
an absolute pleasure talking to you. Can you tell me how many countries you've been to? Do you have a live count going?
I
'Cause I know you're a
do.
traveler.
I love to travel. I have been to 37 countries.
That is brilliant, and where was the last place you went to?
I went to Brazil and Ecuador. Highly recommend, highly recommend. I feel like if you're trying to learn Black history, then going to Brazil and understanding that as part of the transatlantic slave trade, the Portuguese brought the most enslaved people to Brazil. And so if you wanna see people that look like you everywhere, you go to Brazil. So, Brazil and Ecuador, and there were enslaved people that went to Ecuador as well, so there's Afro-Ecuadorians as well. We are everywhere.
We are
Black History
everywhere.
Month is not just it's not just 1 month. Black history is every day because 'cause we're everywhere.
Guys, that was your Black History Month, a roundup, a US roundup, because as you know, it's coming up to the end of February, and in the US, they celebrate Black History Month in February. And I feel like we've done our part. When are you going to come to the UK to see us?
I know, I have to come soon. I'm planning to come to Europe this summer. So, and I usually try to do like a couple countries at a time. So, and I have to meet Mackenzie. I gotta meet my baby cousin.
100%. You got to meet your baby cousin, 100%. Um,
Yes,
but no, thank you so much, Jasmine, for speaking with us
yes.
today. No doubt, Reynolds going to be listening and cheering you on from the sidelines from her bed where she's trying to recuperate. But next week is going to be a good one because we are going to celebrate International Women's Day. I can't believe we are almost in March. We have a special guest coming on as well, all the way from, how do you say it? Curacao? Curacao? Yeah, so she's gonna be speaking to us as well from Curacao, and that is gonna be us. But no, again, we want to say thanks to Jasmine for coming on, and thank you for tuning in to Besties a Broadcast. We are on YouTube. Please subscribe, please like, please share. We're also on Spotify, so you can follow us there as well. Instagram at Besties a Broadcast. Thank you so much. And I know Jasmine's people will be listening, so hello to you as well. Make sure you get Jasmine's stuff, thewealthplayground.com, and on Amazon as well. Thank you. Thanks, Jazz. Love you so much.
Love you
Thank you.
too.
Thank you. All right, then take care. Bye.
Bye.